Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you again for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks so much for the growth. I'm so grateful to every single one of you. Today, I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about the last video that I posted, which is the strangest secret and my comprehension of it. So, again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to go back and check out that video, it's going to be in the description link below. All right, again, let's get into this. So the video The Strangest Secret had one of the most profound impacts in my life, personally. And today what I'd like to do is I'd like to break down on my understanding of that roughly around 32-minute video by Earl Nightingale. I also encourage you to view the original video in your spare time when you can, as it's included in my description link below, okay? The first part of this speech talks about doing a survey of about 100 men who started even at the age of 25. They all had similar backgrounds. They had similar education, they had similar upbringing as well as similar cultural values. So they didn't have any privilege whatsoever. None of them had an advantage or a pseudo-perceived privilege. They all have the same eager desire to be rich, and they also had the same expectations of life. Now, what ended up happening is, by the age of 65, what we found was one of them was actually rich. 4 of them were financially independent. 5 were still working, and 54 of them were broke. Does this resonate with you guys? Out of the 100, only one of them made the grade of actually becoming rich. And why is there such a large disparity from what they intended to do and the actual results? Ironically, I did the math myself. And what I also noticed, like you did, is that there's still about 36 people that we couldn't account for. Those are the ones that I presume died before the age of 65, which in my video talks about, when I talk about the war between time and money, I make mention of the fact that experience and how your wealth equation is heavily dependent on time. Earl Nightingale proceeds to define such success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. He mentions that if you are working towards a goal that you've already predetermined, and you know where you are going, then you are considered a success. In today's social media age, where we only measure success according to how much cars or how many cars we have, what kind of jewelry we show, what kind of house we live in, or how much cash that we're showing, this creates a wrong impression of what true success is. Now, what we acquire doesn't, or, we try to tie this acquisitions to our happiness, it's always short-lived. Because there has to be a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I love when he speaks on something that I've always been a firm believer in, which is the book by Rollo May, The Distinguished Psychiatrist. And Rollo May says, the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity. How does it not ring so true in today's world, where we all try so hard to be like those we see on TV or on social media, where we've now been able to create a new culture called influencers. Our happiness is tied to our ego, and that ego gets inflated in a world where we have to always search for the like button. We conform to everything, and we're so easily programmed. I watched this movie the other day. It's called Free Guy by Bradley Cooper. But what was so jarring about this movie wasn't, the fact that it was a pretty good flick. No, it was actually because it mentioned the obvious fact of life. And that is there are glasses that once you wear these glasses, you can see life for what it really is. Yet so many of us are so afraid of putting on these glasses. In that movie, there was a scene where Bradley Cooper had this friend called Buddy. He approached Buddy in the restaurant, and after he beat up some bandits, they all had the glasses on. He took the glasses off one of the bandits' faces, and he offered the glasses to his friend, Buddy. But Buddy refused to wear those glasses. The reason? Buddy was afraid of what he will see. The strangest secret is something that is available to every single one of us. It gives us an insight into ourselves and who we are and what we are. Yet most of us are so afraid to take a peek through those lenses. We're afraid of what we'll see. Even when we know for a fact that what we're refusing to see is still all around us and it will never go away. We think to ourselves, ignorance is bliss. And the best way is just to make it through a miserable experience by shutting our eyes and stumbling our way through life. We clock in, we clock out every day, and then one day, we finally clock out for good. We act like the next person without knowing why or what our expected outcomes are. We go to school, we get a job, we pay our bills, we get life insurance, so when the day you die, you're not a burden to your family. Earl Nightingale talks about how if you ask 20 people why do you work, 19 out of 20 people will tell you they work because everyone goes to work. I mentioned this in my video, Success in 3, 2, 1, about how I had a person who called me once and asked me why I wasn't in his mind working. Why was it that all I did was go to the gym? He was so blinded by his mediocre mindset that he thought the only way to work is to be owned by somebody else and to do exactly what they tell you to do. So if you're not assigned a number and you're not given a badge, then you're not considered a productive person in today's society. How sad is this? That he was also able to even brainwash his kids by what he defined as success. So naturally, one of his kids is extremely miserable today at what they do. They still work in the profession because that's what blind dad taught them to do. When Earl Nightingale talks about how it's easy to make a living in today's society and how it takes no brains or talent or special skills to make a living, it resonated strongly with me. Like most, I was happy making a living. I was always trying my hardest to get someone to pay me an extra buck. He also mentions a ship without a rudder or a captain or a crew to guide it to a predestined destination. Yet many of us are living our lives just existing, working a job we hate, thinking that this is what life has in store for us. I know of a brilliant man. He's a great family man. He was making 6 figures last year in 2021, but then things changed. And when things changed, he had a chance to start his own business and build his empire. Instead, he took a job working in collections. A huge step down from where he was, but he gladly accepted this as his reality. When he could be great at so many things and change the world with his knowledge, he wouldn't admit this, but it's the fear of risk that stopped him from pursuing his dream. What is your fear? What has stopped you from pursuing your dream? Why is it that you've allowed to agree to taking what you can find and accept that as reality? What would you blame next when you're 65 and you're fortunate enough to still be alive and be here, yet you have nothing to show for it, but you're hoping that you get a government handout by the first of the month? I consider that option of death a much better choice at this point for a person like that, if you're so willing to live on handouts. Earl Nightingale points out that the average person has a plateau, that so many of them are so willing to stay happy in that plateau. The Strangest Secret says the most important aspect, which you must comprehend, is we become what we think about. Everything comes to us only if we wait. If you can keep your thoughts focused on exactly what you want, and to stay focused on what you want, and in the same time not want a million other things, then what we think about becomes our reality. He also talks about acting as if what you want is so real that it must eventually become real. Have you guys ever wondered how great actors do it? When they play a character, they get involved in that character. They think, act, sleep, walk, talk like the character they intend to play. And then when you watch them on screen, it captivates your attention and it keeps you locked into the movie the entire time. This is what Earl Nightingale is saying. To be the person you intend to be, you must be so embedded in that character that anything contrary should feel foreign to you. If you want to be rich, that's all you thought about was being rich. Then start now by acting rich. Think like a rich person would think. Study rich people and behave like they will behave. Let your mind be fooled into thinking you're rich. I'm a prime example. In 2018, my tax return showed $38,000 for the year. And by the early part of 2019, I had a dead mother, a divorced marriage, and a negative account balance of $224.14. But I was fortunate that by the end of 2018, I had stumbled across the video, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. So what I did was I found myself, even in my lowest moment, still acting, thinking, and being rich, as this had no relation to how much I had in my bank account. I recall I had my girlfriend, knowing that I was going through what I was going through, one day just looking at me and saying, "Wow, you are going to be wealthy." And even though a small part of my mind went to try and ask that question, what does she mean? I had created this persona that it immediately dwarfed any perception that tried to follow it. And by the end of 2019, I had made over $200,000 in personal income. I had closed 5 real estate deals, with one deal alone paying me over 6 figures. By the end of 2021, early 2022, I left my corporate job for good. And since 2019, I have not had a year where I made less than $200,000 in personal income. And now I've had a chance to invest my money, start a new YouTube venture, which has always been my passion, that is providing inspiration content and making videos on YouTube. The Strangest Secret sounds like an interesting topic for a first-time listener. And the fact is, it's not recorded in the new age era, so it can cause some people to lose interest. But the power of this message is so profound. I am living proof of it. So many have used this message to change their lives, just like myself, and I implore you to do the same. Start with the implementation of the basics of this message. Earl Nightingale has a 30-day experiment. All he's asking for is 30 days in your entire life. And today, I'm asking you to do the same. I challenge you to take this experiment very seriously. For the next 30 days, discipline your thinking. Only think and focus on the things and outcomes you want in life. And when the unwanted, that thought of how or stress of when comes, before you answer that question to yourself or try to have your brain find a solution, take a deep breath. In for 5 seconds and ask yourself, what do you want? And when you remember what you want, as you've been keeping your focus on this the whole time, then go back to allowing your focus to be only on what you want. My request for you, so we can all be accountable to this, is to give us feedback in the comments below on what you noticed after trying out this experiment, and let's share your story together. Again, folks, I'm so grateful for being a part of your life today. I appreciate you listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel for more engaging content. Peace.